Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Operations Committee meeting, the last one of the year. We have some great items to look at today. Thank you to everybody who has worked so hard and done some really good, important work this year, and I know will continue to do so in 2022. And looking at 2022 is also on today's agenda. So thank you all for that. We will call the roll real quick.
Yes, Director Corbett. Director Wieskamp?
Here.
Director Coffey?
Here.
Director Corbett?
Here.
AGM O'Connor?
Here.
And other staff members, participants, and presenters include Ruby Toomber, Jessica Sloan,
Here.
Matt James, Noah Dort, Robert Kennedy, and Tiffany Margolisi. We also have President Ann Castlebaum. Today's meeting is held pursuant to the Brown Act as amended by AB 361. Board members and staff may participate via phone video conferencing. This meeting is a hybrid of an in-person attendance with board members and designated staff. We are providing live audio and video streaming. Public comments may be submitted live via Zoom, via email or voicemail as noted on the agenda located on the Park District website. If there are no questions about the meeting procedures, we will begin.
Any questions, anyone?
No.
Okay, very good. And again, thank you all for being here today. Our first item for discussion will be the interpretive and recreation services in the Southwest region and the update. So please proceed.
All right, well, good afternoon. This is Ann Castlebaum, Chief of Interpretive and Recreation Services, and I have Jessica Sloan, who is our Volunteer Program Supervisor today. Jessica oversees the volunteer program and also Parks Express. So this is an update of how the volunteer program has been handled with COVID, restrictions, and also the opening back up of volunteer programs. Jessica was hired early in 2020, and we stole her from the National Park Service, and we're very lucky to have her. There's been a lot of flexibility with the program, and this presentation was actually provided in October to the Park Advisory Committee. So we wanted to bring Jessica here and give you an update. So Jessica, take it away.
Thank you and welcome.
So much. So I'm going to share my screen. And if you could just, let me get this from the slideshow. Can everybody see my screen? Anybody?
Looks good.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to share today. I'm going to be giving a quick update about our 2021 volunteer program. So really grateful to be here with you all today. And thank you, Anne, for the nice introduction. I am Jessica Sloan, the volunteer program supervisor, so happy to be here and be with you today. The first thing that I wanted to just quickly mention is how amazing our new volunteer database has been working out with all the new protocol that we've had to put into place for volunteers. This system has really allowed us a lot of customization and flexibility in how we create our programs. The screen you see right here, this is Smokey the Bear. This is his very own personal volunteer. Somehow that got me out of my slideshow. There we go. This is his own very special volunteer page. This is where Smokey, as a volunteer for the East Bay Regional Park District, can come to see what he has on his schedule, what is coming up, and how many hours that person has served that month, that year, since forever. There's a place where they can report their hours. There's places where they can communicate directly with us. It's a really neat system and has really given us an incredible amount of customization and put a lot of that control somewhat into the volunteers' hands, which is really helpful. Going on with the volunteer database, which is called Samaritan a little bit more, it's allowed us really customizable programs. So we have self-report kinds of programs like you see here with the coastal cleanup, where people can sign up and then self-report their hours. This is really handy for things like our neighborhood cleanups that we did. And we also have scheduled shifts, and scheduled shifts are usually what we use when we're doing a volunteer project in our park that's hosted by one of our park operations staff or anyone really. Our docents use scheduled shifts. Lots and lots of our folks use these. It gives people a time and a place to be somewhere. We can change it. We can make one basic program and add many, many shifts to it to allow people to sign up. And it's been really great. One of the other really amazing things about the volunteer database is that we've been able to put all of our waivers online. As you can imagine, with the advent of COVID-19, some of our waivers took a little bit of tweaking and we needed to change them up a little bit. With this system, it reduces the amount of paperwork that has to be done by field staff, making it so that anyone who has an account will have their waivers already digitally signed and stored online on their volunteer profile. A huge help to our staff out in the field, as you can imagine. Moving away from that for just a moment, we fortunately were able to take the time this year to deploy the rest of the tool trailers. So there is now a tool trailer, volunteer tool trailer that could be used for either beach cleanups, habitat restoration, or even invasive plant removal at locations throughout the district. This was based on a very generous grant that we got from both the Regional Parks Foundation and the Fremont Bank. We had about $90,000 to wrap and outfit these different trailers. One of the ones that personally I'm the most excited about in our department is the volunteer event trailer that we can pull up to any volunteer event, and it has tables and chairs and food snack item type things, like all the things that we need to host just about any event that you can think of. It makes it so much easier for us to be able to host our large events, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But each one of these, while it's housed in these locations, is able to be used by any of the staff throughout the district. So a really great resource for us to be able to share with parks around the entire district. All right, so what have we been able to reopen in 2021? We have been able to do a whole bunch of different kinds of programs, and I'm going to get into some of those now. The first one is our park improvement projects, and I need to do a huge debt of gratitude to each one of the parks that you see listed here. In each one of these cases, these parks opened up either a habitat restoration program, an invasive plant removal program, or a park and shoreline cleanup program, sometimes multiple things, and opened them up to the public with reoccurring shifts that anyone could log into and sign up for. This is a very big undertaking, and there have been many little bumps along the way trying to adjust to our new protocols and to our new volunteer database system. So you can imagine these parks have done a lot of collaboration with me back and forth. And these are the parks that opened reoccurring events that were open to just the general public, but that's because they were able to with their staffing. Some of our parks haven't been able to quite open up to that level just yet. They aspire to, but many of them have moved on to group events. So as you can imagine, the district is a very popular place for corporate events, scouting events, school groups, big groups of all kinds, nonprofits, everything. And we've been able to open up quite a few of these events to in some of our other locations that maybe didn't have the wherewithal to be able to open a reoccurring event for the public, but could host these occasional group events, which is a huge benefit to us. So as you can see, places throughout the entire district have taken on some of our pre-existing partnerships that we had with groups and also some brand new ones as well. And it's been very exciting. But that's not all. Of course, we have volunteer district departments throughout the entire district, and we've been able to open up opportunities for ambassadors to be out in the field, spreading the word about the regional parks. Our archive volunteers have been able to come back and are helping Brenda Montagna go through the vast amount of archives that we have and sort and catalog and collect all of that. Our volunteer trail safety patrol that works for our public safety is back out on as our eyes and ears on the trails. And then the Ivan Dixon Trail Maintenance and Stewardship Wildlife volunteers have both had small programs this year, but have been able to set the groundwork for hopefully a lot more programs in 2022.
It's very nice to see in that top left picture the work that some of our wonderful people are doing.
Absolutely. You may recognize a face there. Another program that we're really happy that we were able to bring back were our volunteer educators, docent volunteer educators. These are groups of people that go through extensive training and work in our visitor centers. While in the past they were used to working with school groups, they have been extremely helpful, especially with the changing protocols with COVID and how allowing visitors into our visitor centers, just assisting with visitors right now. As you know, many of our school groups have changed to virtual programs, not so many in person. So the docents have been integral in helping us with some of our other programs. And one of the ways that we helped keep them engaged throughout the pandemic was to have these monthly docent downloads, which have been really a huge success. Just once a month, we get together with any volunteer docent virtually and talk about some element of the park or give an interpretive talk. It's been a lot of fun. So we were really lucky this year to also have our 3 annual events, and I'm going to go into each one of them. What's kind of fun is that each one was a different style. So we'll start with the Martin Luther King Day of Services, of course, was hosted in January of 2021. And if you can think back a full year ago, we were still under very strict COVID protocol. So what we were able to do with this is we put all of the safety orientation material online, and then people could sign up, go through the orientation materials, get everything in place, and then they were able to self-report where they were doing their cleanup and for how long. This ended up with 174 participants and over 440 hours served by these amazing individuals who went out sometimes on an almost daily basis throughout the month and picked up garbage in their neighborhoods. This was a great way for us to keep everyone safe as we could at this time, especially with the very strict standards that we had. By April, we were still in pretty strict COVID standards, especially in the district, as you well know. So what we did is we created another neighborhood cleanup opportunity, but we also opened up an entire Earth Day event. So everyone was able to come to a web page and see a whole bunch of different kinds of things. We had naturalists doing their talks. We had links to the digital downloads. We had arts and crafts. We had a live webinar that we hosted with Doc Quack about his success with Turntown and some of the wildlife volunteer opportunities that he's been hosting. That one we had 27 people at, which was a pretty good number for a virtual event. And then we also had a talk with Park Supervisor Jim Rutledge at Sibley to talk about the redwood reintroduction. That was a video that we posted. When we posted the video live, we got 20 live viewers immediately and over 200 views since then. So this webpage was pretty well received. We had over 2,000 views on that webpage. And again, that neighborhood cleanup saw another 160 people with almost 600 hours served, which was really an exciting thing. And then coastal cleanup. As you all know, coastal cleanup happens in September. It is our biggest event of the year. And this year we decided to do a hybrid event. So for people who were still feeling the need to do their own self-guided cleanup, we offered another neighborhood cleanup, but we also had a staggered start time in-person event at 9 different locations in 6 parks throughout the district. This ended up cleaning 9 miles of shoreline. And even though we kept participation limited, we saw 600 participants who picked up almost 8,000 pounds of trash. It was a really incredible one single day. And then coupled with the neighborhood cleanup of people reporting their own service as well, you can see we had a really good turnout with that. So we've also been able to do a volunteer appreciation event. As you can see in the corner, we had a volunteer gift that's actually being sent out right now as we speak. And we also hosted a virtual event on December 9th. So just last week, actually. The virtual event went really well. We had a wonderful introduction from our GM, Sabrina Landreth, and a wonderful introduction also by President Rosario. And then we were able to do a short introduction to the different kinds of volunteer programs throughout the district and an incredibly fun and engaging Cahoots quiz filled with district trivia. So a lot of fun, really happy. We had over 60 people join us for that virtual event, and it was a really great way to connect with our volunteers. I know some of you might be curious about vaccinations. After a lot of back and forth with our legal team, what we decided was that volunteers who worked with our public and indoors were the ones who we were going to focus vaccinations on. So we've been collecting vaccination information from our park ambassador teams, our volunteer docent educator teams, and the archive volunteers. This means that if you sign up for one of our park improvement projects, you don't necessarily have to show proof of vaccination. And that's because those programs always take place outdoors, and everyone still has to follow very strict COVID protocol. So they must remain masked, and they have to take their temperature and answer the 3 assessment questions before they can start the program. So the vaccinations were really focused on those volunteers who work indoors. Our last little thing that we get to talk about today was we had an extremely fun opportunity to encourage some of our trained volunteer staff to join us in our diversity, equity, and inclusion. As you all know, I and our department had a summit that we hosted. So the volunteer program offered a 2-hour training led by Bay Area Outreach and Recreation Program, an organization that more commonly goes by BORP. We've had a wonderful partnership with these folks for a long time, and they led a 2-hour disability awareness and inclusion training to any docent staff that could sign up at the time. This is a really cool initiative that we're really excited to implement into our volunteer programs. We hope to host more of these trainings, and we're looking to include any trained volunteer staff and start making this part of our onboarding. What it does is it helps us talk about how to communicate and make the most welcoming experience we can for people in the disabled community. We would also we have future goals to create some resource guides that are for the disabled community specifically, that highlight some of our more places where they can access things and the kinds of places where we have special things for people, resources for folks. And then we would like to do additional trainings as well, especially some that focus on gender, ethnicity, race, and other kinds of our diversity, equity, and inclusion elements and principles. So this was a big win for us. We had over 50 docents show up for just this training. And again, we hope to host even more of these and open them up to even more people in the district in the future. So we're looking into the future. We think that this will become part of our new onboarding, especially for those trained volunteer staff that work with the public. So our future plans for 2022, we are going to continue to try to open more and more volunteer programs. As we settle into our new normal, the more and more parks are looking to open these programs. We're getting more and more familiar with our new volunteer database and how to create programs. And we're excited to be creating even more opportunities for people to come and spend time and give back to the parks that they love so much. We're also looking to build some internal forums, and at some point we'd like to have a slightly bigger social media presence. So with that, I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to be here with today, and I am happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Jessica. So impressive. So appreciate the work that you're doing and some of the future work that will be done too, to continue to work on doing even greater things. You're doing greater things, but even greater things into the next year. So I'll stop it. You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Would any of the other members of the board like to make some comments? Director Wieskamp.
Such enthusiasm. I really appreciate it because it hasn't been easy. I thought your appreciation event you had the other evening was good. I mean, you were thinking out of the box, and I think everybody who had been involved really liked the fact that we were saying, yes, we appreciate you. So good job all around. And let's hope this is going to be a little easier, even more productive year. So thanks.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that very much. And I agree. I'm really looking forward to 2022 and trying to open up even more things and do more in-person events as well.
Good.
Yes, wonderful. Director Coffey.
I attended, and Mila attended as park ambassadors, the volunteer appreciation virtual event. we were disappointed that we didn't have the barbecue this year.
Yes.
You had a virtual barbecue. Didn't
We had a
it? Good.
virtual barbecue.
No calories.
And the highlight was the Cahoots game, the trivia game. That was a really, Jim, did you play in that game?
No, I was out of town, actually, Director Coffee. I
Oh,
missed it.
okay. Well, Sandmine Dude came in second, and we were very proud of ourselves. I'm still waiting for our prize, Jessica.
I would think you'd get a trophy. Come on.
Second place. There were a whole bunch of people playing, and I was very, very proud of ourselves.
Yeah, hats off to naturalist Virginia Martinez Delgado. She really was the driving force behind that. We created the questions together, and they weren't easy. Not all of them were easy.
No, I missed a whole bunch of them. It's really feeling guilty. That's why you use nicknames, so no one. Now that's out, so I got to come up with a new nickname. No, because I've lost some of Virginia's Cahoots games really badly. So you hide behind a nickname.
Ellen, you had fun.
It was great.
There you go.
It was great. And in the end, Sandmine Dude shot up because they had a bunch of Ward 7 questions. I was so thankful for the last 5 or 6 questions because they were Black Diamond oriented. Or big break oriented. Jessica, I run into people at parks occasionally, or visitors to the ambassador tables that we do, and we learn about folks who have personally and without joining any park district program adopted a park. And by adopted, I mean there are folks who routinely carry plastic bags with them to collect garbage out on the trails. And I run in, I wear my jacket and hat, and they think I'm a ranger and start talking to me. And there are all sorts of people, and the rangers know these people. They are unsung heroes. They're not recognized. They're not part of any program. They just do it on their own. And I'm wondering, it occurred to me, is there some way that these people could be, when we run into them, when rangers run into them and get to know them, can they be referred to Samaritan and become, somehow track their own hours and get some recognition for what they're doing? They don't do that on their own, nor do they seek it. But if it's something where we advertise, or somebody who's out there spending a couple hours a week or a month at their park cleaning, if there was some way, if they learned that they could sign up and be a included volunteer on the Samaritan page or program, and keep track of their hours and then get some kind of recognition from the park district. Is that possible, or is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually something that I've been working individually with parks on, but obviously as part of the interpretation and recreation department, it's been easier for me to focus inward a little bit. What we're looking to try to do, the only thing that makes it challenging with what I like to call rogue volunteers, as you're mentioning.
Sure.
If we know who they are, then yes, absolutely. I am happy to set up programs for people. The problem is we definitely want them to be interfacing with staff so that they get the proper safety protocols and so that they're following. We want to keep people safe is our biggest goal. So what we're trying to do moving forward, actually, that could potentially roll into a program like this, is at our visitor centers, we want to build special programs where people could come into the visitor center and actually check out cleanup materials so they could get a bag and a trash picker and a quick safety orientation. That's our biggest thing, is that we want people to go through some safety training before they go out so that they're not picking up things like needles or hazardous materials or even disturbing wildlife or natural settings. And then they would be able to go out and clean up in those parks. But that doesn't have to be contained only in our visitor centers. We're going to start with visitor centers and work our way out to some of the larger park operations parks as well. Again, though, we need staff who are willing to kind of oversee those. And if they're interfacing with staff and the staff can make sure that they can sign off that saying that they had gone through a safety orientation, then we can start building programs where those folks can get some more recognition as well. So yes, absolutely. The program definitely allows for that. We just have to make sure that we are following the proper protocol and making sure that all of our volunteers are as safe as possible.
Well, let me know of a site, a website, or whatever it is that I personally and rangers can refer these people to, because it has the added benefit. It's right now they're just doing it on their own.
Exactly.
So if they're referred to a specific site where they can, become official, that site could educate them as to
Yes.
our desire that they get trained and meet with a park ranger and become educated as to how they're to do what they do.
Yes, and we're really looking to try to do that. Absolutely. So
Okay.
it's not a no. It's just we have to figure out how, and we are moving in that direction right now for sure.
Great, thank you. There's lots of those folks out there.
I wonder if we could, and maybe we already do this, on some of the days that we have events at certain parks and, numbers of people come to whatever that event happens to be, we could have on the agenda a class or an introduction to volunteerism at a certain time on that agenda, inviting people to step in and maybe be the people that Colin was talking about, have an opportunity to, become a part and get that class. That would be helpful.
Absolutely, that's an excellent idea. And one of the thoughts that has been considered is actually a virtual class that people could attend as well.
Oh, nice.
Good
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be great. Thank you so much, Jessica. So impressed with all of the work you're doing, and also bringing in all those volunteers and being appreciative to them so that they understand that we really do love the work that they're doing, and we appreciate them. So thank you for doing that. And Jim O'Connor has his hand. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you, Chair Corbett. I just want to continue to sing a little too close to the microphone, to praise Jessica, because, starting a new job and a new organization is never easy. And Jessica came in, and right away we went into the shutdown here and the stay-at-home order. And really, I can't think of a worse situation or a more challenging situation to operate a volunteer program. Yet I've been so impressed with the work that she's done. Jessica, you've just done an incredible job of keeping things not only just going, but then innovating, which is always a difficult thing to do under normal circumstances. So our volunteer program has taken leaps and bounds ahead, and I think we're well set up for the future. So just want to sing her praises and appreciate her good work.
Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Trust me, the pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much. We look forward to bumping into you at other things as well. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go on to the next agenda item, item 3, which is review the Delta Access Caretaker Agreement for Delta Access. And that's an item we'll be asked to take a position on.
Good afternoon, committee. This is Tiffany Margolisi, Business Services Manager. Is my mic and volume okay? Okay, great. So I'm going to be presenting the Delta Access Caretaker Agreement. This is pertaining to the property we sometimes call the Nunn property. And the committee may remember I presented on this Delta Access Nunn property at the May Board Operations Committee meeting, asking for authorization to extend an agricultural lease. And what I'm going to give an update on today is that the circumstances have changed a little bit. The agricultural lease no longer wishes to continue. Its staff is going to be recommending to retain their on-site caretaker for an interim period. So with that, I will launch into the presentation. This is the residence that is on site at the Delta Access Nunn property. And I'll be talking more about it through the presentation. Just as an orientation, caretakers generally are used in situations where there's a 24/7 security need, or we have a complex or unique need, such as at Brooks Island or at the Vasco Caves. And we also use caretakers when we have a lease back or a temporary security for a recent acquisition. And this situation falls more into this category. Most recently in 2020, we had done a similar situation when Jack and Donna Roddy had moved out of the Deer Valley area. They had an employee who was already living there as a caretaker, and we've retained him as a caretaker. So they're not employees, and it's separate from our employee security program. This is where the Delta Access property is. It's on Byron Highway in Brentwood. And then here's another shot of it. There's a red circle that shows the proximity, the general area where the residence is located. I gave a little bit of this history, but just to review it again, we purchased the property in partnership with the East Contra Costa County HCP in 2015. And since 2015, we had been having it farmed under an agricultural lease that was affiliated with the Nunn family who the district bought the property from. Since when we had been talking to the Nunn family and RS Farms earlier this year, they had expressed they wanted to continue on a year-by-year basis for up to 3 years. Then, as we know, we had some challenges this year with drought and other factors. And so in the fall, after we had authorized an extension for them, our RS let me know that they were no longer interested in continuing farming. The long-term plan for this property does not include agriculture, so we're not looking to seek another agricultural tenant. The HCP is in the process of the design and permitting for the Knightson restoration project. And so we really have an interim need for some management of the property. So the operational challenges, once we have the farm lease no longer there, so we're going to have less of a presence on the property. And we're in this transitional period. Staff is working on putting up some fencing to eventually introduce some grazing on the property. They're doing some site cleanup, as you can see from some of the items shown in these pictures. And then the HCP restoration project is coming soon, but not quite yet. It's about 2 to 3 years in the future. So those are the challenges. The opportunity we have is there's a couple, Francisco and Dolores Torres. They are already the on-site caretakers. They were Francisco Torres was a long-term employee of the Nunn family. He's now retired. They live in the residence, which I showed at the first slide. Obviously, they're familiar with the location. I think they've lived there in that house for something like 40 years, a very long time. In the long term, when the restoration project is coming online, we do plan to look at decommissioning that residence. We already have a security residence nearby within Delta Access. So we're looking at this as a short-term solution. So they've been living there. They desire to stay there. We think there's a lot of operational benefit in that they would be the eyes and ears for the property. And certainly that would get us, into the time frame when we have the restoration project and the park is more fully established into its next phase. So that's for the recommendation, and it's we would not charge any rent. They don't currently pay rent, and on the other hand, they pay for all their utilities. And we would be looking at doing it on a year-by-year basis for up to 3 years. Again, depending on the timeline of the the future restoration project. So with that, I'll stop my share and see if there's questions from the committee.
Thank you very much. And we appreciate the fact that there are discussions to continue to ensure the land looking good. So thank you for that. Do any of the directors have any questions, comments you'd like to make? Director Wieskamp?
Well, I assume since they've been long-term residents that they make sure that the house is safe, the surrounding area. If there was a real problem, I assume they'd contact us. But I think we're lucky to have someone like this. They know the land, they know the territory and what's normal and what isn't. So no, I think it's a perfect solution.
Thank you. Director Coffey?
Sure. Is the other security residence nearby the one on Orwood track?
That's correct.
Yeah, that, they're not connected properties, so it is a good idea to have
I think
have
it is.
this actual residence here. There's a bit of distance between those
Yeah.
two properties. It's a good idea. Thank you.
And I appreciate the fact that they are interested in continuing to take care of the land. That's something we should very much appreciate on their behalf. So I really don't have any more comments, but anybody like to make a motion to go ahead with this and send it to the board? Okay.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion by Director Wieskamp and a second by Director Coffey. Please call the roll.
Director Coffey,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
so moved.
Would that all decisions were that easy.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, and we have item 4 on the agenda, the 2021 Board Operations Committee Work Plan, the year-end review.
All right, great. And a quick mic and screen check. You can hear me and you can see my screen?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, perfect. And as a reminder, this is included in your board packet as well. All right, I'm Ruby Tumber, a management analyst for the operations division. And our next item is a review of our 2021 committee work plan. This serves as sort of a report card on our performance and delivery as a committee. In 2021, the committee convened at all of our scheduled meetings for this year, except for a recess that we had scheduled for August. And we covered nearly every proposed topic that we intended to cover this year. Topics that were not covered this year are going to either be presented in the early part of 2022, or they were covered administratively by our staff. I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of all of our staff for your guidance and support on a variety of matters that we discussed in this committee this year. With that said, I'll dive in. For our policy reviews and recommendations in 2021, we covered our 2022 consolidated fee schedule, and we did a review of our 2021 ordinance biannual review. For our concessionaire and special use,
It's not moving.
there we go.
There we are. Yay,
It's
team.
because I have a physical copy. Sorry about that. For concession and special use agreements, reviews and recommendations, we brought forth a review of our Dumbarton Camp Store RFP, a review of our rental facilities caterer RFP, a review of the Contra Loma food concession RFP, and a review of the Tilden Golf Course RFP. This next item is the one item that we did not bring forth. It's the review of the Redwood Valley Railway Agreement. And as you will be seeing in my 2022 draft work plan, it's on the roster for next year. We also covered a review of the Golden State Model Railroad Museum Special Use Agreement and a review of the Delta Access Agricultural Lease. Actually, twice, right? And we did not bring this item to the committee, but we did cover it administratively otherwise, and it was the Oakland Strokes lease at MLK Shoreline. We provided a review of the Ardenwood agricultural lease, a review of the Los Trompas Stables RFP, and a review of the Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center RFP, and finally, a review of the Oyster Bay Disc Golf Club Special Use Agreement. We also had a number of informational reports and discussion topics. The first two being what I'm doing right now, a review of our 2021 work plan, and what I'll be doing next, which is a review of our 2022 draft work plan. We provided an update on our reservable facilities, and just last month, we've provided an update on our outreach at Tidewater. Both of the regions and interpretive and recreation services, both Southeast region and Northwest region, provided updates. And we also received updates from 3 of our park operations units, which included Delta, Interpretive Parklands, and the Shoreline unit. This year, we did not provide our usual annual review of the concession maintenance fund. However, much of these items were covered under the concessionaire and special use agreement reopening report, which Tiffany provided in the early part of this year. We provided an update from our MAST unit, specifically on sanitation and waste management, as well as an update on our camping program. We provided an update as well on the Civic Corps crew and an update on the Redwood Canyon Golf Course. Additional updates included an update from our Trails crew, an update on the MLK Regional Shoreline Room, and a district-wide Wi-Fi update as well. With that said, I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. And another very impressive report about all the great things that have been done this year. Thank you so much. Would anybody, I'm sorry, I can't see the photos of the directors, but would any of the directors have any comments?
Amazing as always.
Okay, Director Wieskamp, go ahead.
You know, it's always amazes me such a variety of things that you have to get through in a year. And the list is so long, and especially with all the COVID stuff, I think you did a great job keeping us on target. And I know it wasn't always easy. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Director Coffey, do you have any comments?
No, I really don't. Just as Ann was saying, it's a very impressive accomplishment for this committee.
Yes, I agree with my directors, my fellow directors on the committee. Absolutely. You look at that list and it's just like, wow.
Director
That's a
Corbett?
lot of work in 12 months. Yes, I'm sorry, I can't see you either. We're still looking at the memo as opposed to the photos. So thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is AGM O'Connor. Just a
Yes.
quick note on this list. We had a transition between American Golf and Touchstone Golf, which occurred last night at midnight, and we had no interruption service at the Tilden Golf Course, which is an amazing feat. So anyway, we have our new concession operator up and running, and everything seems to be smooth.
More good news.
Mhm.
That's great. Right in the middle of potential raining again. Hopefully they appreciate that too. That has good things to say for golf courses, as well as possibly some challenges. But thank you very much for seeing that happen too, that there was no break in time before the change. So thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for the report, and appreciate all the great work. And we'll go on to the next agenda item,
All right.
which is, let's see, turn to the page.
Just a quick note on this item, just a reminder to the committee, what we normally do is we present a framework of business that needs to come before the committee. We also are completely open, obviously, to the committee members' suggestions for topics to cover. And then we bring this back to the new 22 committee for finalization of the work plan for the year. So just a reminder about process here.
Oh, yes.
All
Thank
right.
you very much. And that would be discussion in the next item,
That is correct.
because it's the 22.
Yes, as you will notice on our agenda, this item is listed as a discussion. So this is our 2022 committee work plan draft. I'll go through all of the items that are currently populated by our staff. This includes all of the regular policy reviews, recommendations, agreements, and informational items. And when I'm completed with the list, I'll be happy to take any recommendations for next year, which will be approved by our incoming committee in 2022.
Okay,
All
and will
right.
you need all those today, or if we think of something else, will we be able to provide them to you?
That is perfectly fine. Yes, Director.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're on item 5, 2022 Board Operations Committee Draft Work Plan Review. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Director. For our policy reviews and recommendations for next year, we will have our annual consolidated fee schedule, and this will be for 2023. We are also bringing forth a district-wide fee equity study, which is a new item for next year. And we also have a number of concessionaire and special use agreements that are up to be brought forward in 2022. Those include the review of the caretaker agreement at Big Break Regional Shoreline, a review of Redwood Valley Railway Agreement. This is the item that was postponed, from 2021. A review of the Seabreeze Cafe lease, a review of the Del Val Stargazer Special Use Agreement, a review of the district-wide Beekeepers Agreement, a review of a comm site at Black Diamond Mines with PG&E, a review of the RFP for the Lake Chabot Marina, a review for the Camp Arroyo Operator Agreement, and conversely, a review of the Taylor Family Foundation Agreement. Also included are a number of informational reports and discussion topics. So this time next year, I'll be delivering the 2022 Board Operations Committee Work Plan Final Review, as well as the 2023 Board Operations Committee Draft Work Plan. Reservations will provide a program update, and we will also receive our annual update on the Tidewater Outreach Program. Both sectors of interpretive and recreation services will provide an update in addition to the 3 operations units that were not covered in 2021. Those will be recreation areas, parklands unit, and lake unit. I will provide an annual review of the concession maintenance fund, concessions and special use revenues. And we will receive an update on our camping program, as well as an update on our bridge yard concession agreement. We will also provide a residence program update, and I will provide an operations sustainability programs report. And that is everything that we have on the roster next year, and I will entertain any additions.
Thank you very much. Director Wieskamp, do you have any comments on that?
It looks like that's enough to keep everybody busy.
Absolutely. Some good stuff. Director Coffey.
No comments. It looks good.
Thank you very much. I agree. It looks very good. If I think of something else, I will let you know.
And Director Corbett, it's AGM O'Connor again.
Yes.
Just a note, item 15, which is the Operations Sustainability Programs update. This will include an update on our green fleet plan and our rollout of that plan and how we're doing on replacing vehicles with alternate fueled vehicles and electric vehicles. So that'll include that. Also, update on our water conservation plan and how we're implementing that district-wide. And also it will also include our activities related to recycling and solid waste management. So just a clarification that we're going to roll in several things into that update.
Fabulous. Which number was that?
That was item 15, the sustainability programs update.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm so glad you included those details as to the various items. I know, Jim, you know, I'm happy about that.
I had a feeling you would want clarification on that.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right. That includes almost anything I would ask for. So maybe we're done. Thank you so much. All right. If there's no other comments by board members on this, thank you so much. Really, we very much appreciate the presentation, and looks like we're ready to go to item 6, which is any public comments.
Yes, Director Corbett, we did have one member of the public submit a comment via email, which was Mr. Kent Wagner, which will be entered into the record, and committee members have received a copy of this. And that was all the public comments we have today.
And we did have a chance to read that letter prior to the meeting. Thank you so much. All
Will
right.
someone be able to reply to Kent? He's an active ambassador.
Yes, Director Coffey, we'll look into that.
Thank you.
It was an interesting letter.
Thoughtful.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. Committee comments? Would anybody else like to add anything else? Director Wieskamp.
You know, we are always saying we hate seeing people using plastic, and what can we do to line cans or to pick up garbage or leftovers from dogs throughout the park? What can we do to investigate seeing if there's some kind of special paper product that we can offer in our parks? I don't know what's out there. Maybe it would be waxed or whatever. I'm not an inventor, but I think there'd be a lot of people who'd really appreciate doing the right thing if we can come up with a way of doing it. So if we can add to the list investigating that one, I think it would be much appreciated by everyone.
And Director Wieskamp, just a point of clarification, you're referring to the dog waste bags or just?
I am referring to both, the dog waste bags, people bring in the little green charming things and drop them, and also what we line our cans with throughout the area. I don't know what's coming along, but there ought to be somebody working on some way of making paper sustainable enough that it can be recycled somewhere in the garbage, and then it will degrade. I think it's worthwhile if we can look into it, encourage it. Somebody's out there working on it. Maybe give a grant. I don't care, but we can't. We complain. Let's see what we can do to make it happen.
Director Wieskamp, that's a very good question, and it's been asked on several occasions, and we're going to take that one up. Ruby is.
I'm sorry to add to the list, but.
Ruby's been charged with that. She's a point person on sustainability programs for the division. So we're going to look into that. You know, the biggest challenge with garbage cans is the weight, and especially when people pour liquids in them. But you know what? We're going to keep working on that, because that is a great deal of plastic. You are correct.
Absolutely. And people hate it.
And unfortunately, in the past, some of the manufacturers of those types of bags have implied that they can be recycled or they can break down. But in fact, what we found out is it was not true. It was not so. So thank you for trying to find something. And let's find another manufacturer who's actually doing the right thing. That would be great.
Maybe we can think about a grant saying, hey, if you can come up with this, we'll give you an award, money, whatever. I don't know. There are always people who are being creative out there. Let's get them going in it.
Thank you so much, Director Wieskamp. Director Coffey?
No, it's a good meeting. I don't have anything to
add. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes.
All right. I don't have anything else to add except for thank you so much for a wonderful year here at the Operations Committee. So many wonderful things were done during a challenge time, thanks to COVID. But you, Mr. O'Connor, and all of the other people that you work with definitely were very inspired to step up and make change and address the issues that allowed us to continue to operate, and especially operate with a larger number of friends visiting our parks. So thank you so much on a very tough year, really doing amazing and wonderful things and continuing to have the East Bay Regional Park District look as an organization that really does care about the folks that use our parks and support our parks as well. So thank you for that. All right. If that's it, if you'd like to make some comments, Mr. O'Connor.
The only comments is one, thank you for the kind words, Director Corbett. The staff, the operations have been staff here. I'm looking at Ruby and Denise, especially. They are my staff that manage the meetings, and I always appreciate how smooth they go and how organized they are. So thank you for those kind words. We appreciate that. We work hard at it. And then I just want to really thank the committee members. We always appreciate your input. And it's been a great year, and like Ruby said, we got a lot done, and I think we'll do it again in 22. So I hope all of you have a great holiday, and we'll take it up again next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, if there's no other items, we will adjourn and wish everybody happy holidays.
There you go.
Have
Thank
a
you so
wonderful
much.
time.